Hello, and welcome to the Spec Shaman Podcast, the show that explores the world of building product manufacturers, architects, and engineers, sustainable design, and technology and trends. We engage in thought-provoking discussions with renowned experts, industry pioneers, and visionaries who are making a significant impact in the construction industry. Join us as we explore groundbreaking ideas, revolutionary concepts, and the latest advancements shaping the built environment. The Spec Shaman Podcast is hosted by Laura Elliott, the lead instructional designer at Ron Blank and Associates. Laura is a seasoned interviewer with a passion for uncovering the untold stories behind success. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spec Shaman Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Elliott of RBA, and I am joined today by Scott Banda, co-founder and CEO of Floorcloud. He is here to discuss a revolution in Jobsite ambient climate monitoring technology by leveraging IoT sensors and simple-to-use software. Hi, Scott. Welcome to the Spec Shaman Podcast.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. I always like to get started with our guest's origin story. How did you get into the construction industry, and what is your background?
Sure. So my background is primarily sales and marketing. And I got into the construction industry by joining Bostik about 20 years ago, actually, in 2004. And Bostik is a global adhesive chemical company based out of France. And I started there basically as a product marketing person, and then eventually became the director of marketing and business development for North America. And through that role, I saw a lot of issues in the construction industry that really we felt we could solve with using some of the new IoT sensor technology that's out there.
Well, that's a great beginning for sure. And it's definitely always interesting when somebody has started in one area and recognizes an issue that they want to solve. So let's get into it. What is the history of your company and how did it get started?
Sure. So we started the company in 2021, and it really started once my partner and I really came together because Bostik acquired his business, and his company was a cement company that produced self-leveling underlayments, patches, primers, moisture mitigation coatings. And together we would be involved in things related to occasionally job site claims or failures of various products. And when we saw some of the newer technology that was coming out, we knew that we could really hire some developers and build a solution that we felt very comfortable would solve a lot of industry problems when it came to really the installation of Division 9 finishes. So at that point, we started to more or less shop the concept around to different general contractors, flooring contractors, millwork contractors, drywall contractors about the value that they might realize if they were able to monitor their ambient conditions in real time remotely. Mm-hmm. And it was really positive on that. So we decided to basically form the company. We engaged a software development company that then became an equity partner of our company. Mm-hmm. And we built it out over about 18 months. And about October of 2022, we started to take on clients. And now we're upwards of 120 unique contractors that are primarily flooring, millwork, and general contractors across the US and Canada. And it's been going really well. Every month we're onboarding another 10, 15 clients, and the feedback has been terrific.
Yeah, I can't imagine the level of change that the product is bringing to the market. Just to be able to have the level of oversight that the product provides is really amazing. So tell me a little bit about the story of the product technology and its history.
So the story is we basically found a partner that is one of the largest cellular network providers in North America. We also found several pieces of IoT sensor hardware. And then we basically engaged a software development firm to help really put it all together and build a solution. That took about 18 months to do. And then we opened the doors to bring in clients, and it's been going really well since then.
That's wonderful. What were those first clients like, and getting that product to actually go live?
Sure. So the first clients we brought on were basically people within the flooring sector and the general contractor community. So we are based in the Northeast. We brought on several large, very large commercial flooring contractors in Boston and New York City, and also a general contractor located in the Northeast, and basically gave them the sensors and the application as it currently stood, and really put it in the market as really a beta. And the feedback was great. We basically took a lot of their feedback and built that into the solution to simplify it and have it, extend into a few other applications that it now does. But it was really, the contractor feedback from the start that is really embedded into the whole solution, because we knew it had to be super simple to use for those on the job site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the simplified approach with it is really exciting. When we're talking about design professionals, I know that the GCs love it, right? When we look at design professionals, why do they need to be concerned with monitoring the interior climate conditions of a building under construction?
Sure. So, great question. I mean, I think most people working with finishes should be aware that there are definite manufacturer specifications that are typically presented on their technical data sheets and their installation manuals for every product that's really out there, whether it's drywall materials or paint or even millwork and a variety of cements and flooring products. It's really essential to securing, maintaining the manufacturer's warranty of those products, that they are installed within the proper conditions. Mm-hmm. So from the designer or architect side, it's very important to have a sense of awareness of what those specifications are. And then, of course, if you can help those installing the products be aware of that, the end result for everybody, the client in the end, the owner, is going to be spot on, and they're going to secure the warranties that they're expecting.
Yeah, it's a whole new level of assurance and making sure that things stay to spec.
Exactly.
It's amazing. So what are some of the common issues that arise on job sites, and how can a hybrid hardware and software monitoring platform offer solutions?
Okay, so one of the most common problems that our system solves is when job site conditions go out of spec, typically because someone has turned off building controls or left windows or doors open. So this can either be on the owner side, being innocent about, perhaps they thought that someone was not working on the weekend, so they've cut off controls, meaning they've cut off the heat or the air conditioning. And very, temperamental materials have either just been installed or are acclimating. Mm-hmm. So that's really a really common occurrence for us, is to identify those changes in climate conditions in real time. Mm-hmm. There's kind of three different uses that people are using the system for. The first one is pre-installation monitoring, where they basically put a couple sensors on the job site to monitor ambient conditions prior to sending any material there. So they're really using it to make sure the site is ready to basically have material start acclimating, monitoring it during acclimation, but then also knowing if it's appropriate to send their labor teams there to actually do the work. Mm-hmm. That's the number one application that we've really seen. The next thing is, of course, monitoring it during installation. And then finally, we have plenty of customers that keep sensors on site, not indefinitely, but for a couple weeks or even months after they've completed their work, simply because they could install things within Spec and then move on to another project. But then windows, doors, or even controls can be turned off, and that can cause massive problems, whether it's millwork, cracking, or buckling, whether it's flooring, gapping, or delaminating, things along those lines.
Yeah, that has huge implications, I think, across a lot of different issues that we see. One of my favorite things is that it is a pretty sustainable practice because it protects the building materials. So you're not up against waste, during construction. And I think that that's a real highlight of what it offers, but it also protects the investment and the end users as well. Because, if you're working with something like sports flooring, when you have a buckling floor that didn't get caught at the walkthrough phase, you could have an athlete get injured on some of those like kind of minor unseen things. So there's a lot of huge advantages to making sure that that environment during the installation process and post and even pre that I just love about this technology. Can we break down a little bit of the various components of the technology itself? So it's a hardware and software monitoring technology. How does it work and what does it measure exactly?
Sure. So basically we would say there's really kind of three key components. So there's the actual software, which is mobile software. So you can basically download an app from your respective app store and have it on your phone or tablet. And then, of course, as you'd expect, you can use it through your desktop by logging into, a secure online portal. That is basically where the user is engaging with the software. They are setting up their projects. They are connecting products that they want to monitor from our database. They're assigning their users. And there's a couple other pretty cool things they can do in there. They can take photos. They can store all that stuff securely in the cloud.
Nice.
The other piece of it is our database, and our database is proprietary. There's really nothing else like it. So we had to build it on our own. And essentially, it has about over 10,000 industry products in there right now. And then there's our sensors. And the way it all works is, you can set up a project in honestly a couple minutes. So I just want to emphasize that because people sometimes think because of all these components, this is a very intricate thing to use. It's really not at all. A user simply sets up a project in the software. They go to the job site. They scan the QR code on our sensor. They mount the sensor to a sign that we provide them, which is like a job site communication sign telling them that monitoring is in progress. And they mount that to walls or columns or whatnot. And the other component to this was when they are setting up the job, they connect the products that they want to monitor from our database. So what happens now is every hour after they've connected the sensor, the job site conditions are going to be compared against the manufacturer's specifications for those products that they're installing. And it could be an infinite amount of products. And whatever product may fall out of spec will generate a push notification that is sent to any user's mobile device. And the idea there is really, the kind of the crux of what we're trying to do. And that's help our clients detect things in real time so that they can respond and really correct the problem before it becomes what you referred to earlier, where there has to be a tear out and perhaps, a massive amount of waste, or they don't catch it and then something does fail. And in the case of flooring, you could get a trip and fall issue if things were to buckle or lift or gap at a seam.
No, I mean, it's definitely the ease of use, I think, really stands out about it. Is it difficult to train contractors to use this type of platform?
Not at all. In fact, this is another key pillar of the company is we really built it all around simplicity.
Mm.
And we train people within 10 minutes. And some of our users don't even show up for the training and just use the application on their own.
Right.
We generally prefer to walk people through the system just because there's a lot of features, but it literally takes 10 to 15 minutes to bring someone up to speed on how to use it.
That is great. What other applications can this platform be used for besides just interior floor spaces? Is flooring the only focus?
No, so there's another component to this where we do have an integration with a third party provider of concrete sensors.
Oh.
And those are sensors that basically measure the concrete slab's relative humidity and temperature. And we can basically read those sensors remotely because our sensors pick up a Bluetooth signal that's sent out from their sensors. So that's another I guess you could say application within the flooring sector. We are also seeing other people, though, in millwork specifically contact us. Millwork is very sensitive, obviously can be very expensive and very intricate and extremely costly if it has issues with warping or cracking and whatnot. So that's a big space for us. Also, general contractors, we're working with well over a dozen of some of the bigger brands nationally, where they have 20, 60, 80 sensors on projects, where they're monitoring really the space entirely at the same time to really help other trades stay on schedule and to make sure the space is properly set up. So that falls into, other things like the drywall trade, the painting trade, fireproofing, as I said, millwork, flooring, and those other ones.
So it really does a lot to encompass the whole phase of construction in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
How does the platform work with and monitor other manufacturers' products on the job site? That's what you're touching on now, right? Can the platform provide real-time data on how the job site conditions are affecting specified products?
Yeah, so what we've got is, so our database, we don't say has every product in the universe in it. That would be amazing, but it's sort of unrealistic. So,
I'm sure.
so what we have is as part of our solution really is a service where we have a couple people on our database team that take our clients' product lists and we literally go through those lists and confirm if products are in our system or not. If they're not, we take the time to contact those manufacturers, either going to their website and pulling off the product specifications or talking with their technical service people on the phone to obtain those product specs. And then we enter the product in our database and notify our client that it's ready to go. The whole point on that is we're assured that it's accurate. It's coming directly from the manufacturer, and we try to make it as smooth as possible for the contractor. And we generally turn that around within 48 hours.
Oh, wow. That's an amazing turnaround time.
Yeah.
So even if the product isn't currently in your database, you can add it. And that's something that is that's a great offering. Yeah.
Yeah, it's through the work really now with more of the general contractor community that we're getting requests to add different wall coverings, different paint products, different fireproofing materials that they're using, or obviously some of their subcontractors are using. And we simply add a new category and then begin populating those other products. So we're expanding it, our database really that way.
That's wonderful. How can the data collected by the monitoring platform maintain product manufacturer warranties and keep an eye on the installation practices that are outlined?
Sure. So our sensors are monitoring ambient temperature, ambient humidity, dew point, and they do track their GPS location. So what's going on is every hour the job site conditions are being compared against the manufacturer's specs. And then basically if site conditions go out of spec, someone will get a push notification to their phone so they can get in there and really look at it, making the necessary adjustments to the climate to help ensure that it is within the manufacturer's specs.
That's great. The immediacy of it, especially compared to the traditional method of determining what the job site climate was, and the conditions, I think is just such a leap, right? I think that's the thing that impresses me the most about the product.
Yeah, thank you. It is, just to add a little to that, because the real-time nature is definitely probably the biggest strength that the system has. But along with that comes the ability to communicate that data very efficiently to other key project stakeholders. So everything is basically quickly formatted in the form of a graph. And the
Mhm,
graphs can be easily shared by just touching one button on the mobile device,
mhm,
and share that with any contact in someone's phone. But then the other piece to this is really the reporting in general. So um, our clients, regardless of trade, they basically can go back in and they can quickly assign a date range that they want data generated for,
mhm.
and hit generate report, and within seconds they can provide a really credible, professionally laid out report to their client. So what we're seeing here is it's really bringing everyone together with good, clean, objective data,
Yeah.
so all parties can make really better informed decisions on the installation of the different materials at a given point in time.
Yeah, it's a great collaborative tool.
Yes.
That I think that's another impressive point about it is that it's not just one person that is able to access the information, right? It's definitely shareable. It encapsulates the climate data, photos, and communications. Is that some of the things that can be in the report?
Yes, exactly. So, and to your point there, I mean, we have customers that will put, like a subcontractor can easily put their general contractor on the system, or vice versa, or even put a designer, architect, or owner on the system as well. So everybody can see exactly what the real-time conditions are and get the alerts if they like. So that we have plenty of people that do that as well.
Yeah, and then for like big weather events like high heat, wind, hail, ice, thunderstorms, they can monitor it in real time to make sure that the site is okay, right?
Yep, yep. Actually, our sensors can be used exterior as well.
Oh, cool.
Some people do put them on the exterior. Um, that's becoming more of a use that people are now starting to. I think they feel so comfortable with what we've delivered on the interior that we are hearing more and more general contractors actually are starting to look for even exterior measurements.
Yeah, I'm sure. And how does the monitoring technology help to ensure that the safety of workers and users is considered?
Sure. So I would say when it comes to safety, it's really going to apply to the building occupants. So essentially, if you're monitoring that site 24/7,
Mhm.
you are going to detect if there's going to be a problem that can result in a failure. So, when it comes to safety on these types of sites, I would say most of that's going to be tied to flooring related installation, where trip and fall hazards can become a massive liability for ownership. So obviously, if you're monitoring that installation, you're going to really have a good sense that the adhesives, the cements, all the different products that are involved in that flooring system, which can sometimes be, up to 3, 4, 5, 6 products,
Right.
were really all put in the proper conditions so that adhesion and whatnot is to spec, which is obviously going to result in less problems that could result in, quite honestly, someone tripping over a gap or a seam that might suddenly break loose.
Yeah, it's really perfecting the orchestration of the project, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is such a great advancement, I think. So at the end of the day, it's basically risk management in some ways, would you say?
100%. In fact, on that note, we've been working with several insurance companies
Oh,
who have really recommended that we have a document created for our clients to pass to their insurer because it is a massive
hmm.
step in the right direction towards really putting into place really best practices
Mhm.
around risk management. And through that, most insurers will put it in a favorable column when looking at determining their client's annual premium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had not even considered that aspect. That's a wonderful development to hear about.
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of people really would appreciate that kind of reporting as well, right?
Yep, exactly.
Such an add value. I know we touched on it earlier about how it's a sustainable practice, and this is an area that I'm very interested in because I think that as we move forward and there's such a push to really make authentic attempts at sustainable design and construction, how does this monitoring technology answer that call?
Well, obviously, there's lead standards around minimizing, construction waste and whatnot. So, for example, if you were to install a hospital wing and have a major failure of the self-leveling underlayment or resilient or rubber flooring that's going down, that is a tremendous cost. Not only obviously is it disruption to the business, but it's the tear out and the disposal of those materials that is extremely expensive and obviously probably against all the green related standards out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that is one of my favorite features about it is it just really protects those resources and
Yep.
ensures that they don't go to waste. Now, is it available across the US or is it just in New England?
No, it's fully national and in Canada as well. We have clients in practically every major metro,
Mhm.
and then we basically established connectivity up in Canada about 4 months ago, and things are going really well up there as well.
That's great. That's great to hear. So anybody can access it here in the United States and in Canada. That's great. That's a
Yep.
lovely
Yep.
offering. So how do architects, specifiers, and project teams specify the system for building projects?
So we are just now finishing up and releasing our three-part spec, along with a CEU that we've done with Ron Blank and Associates. And those are going to be available. They're going to be on our website, and we will be doing all kinds of activities to promote them being available. But you can reach out to us directly, and we'll provide that documentation.
Well, that's great. Congratulations on those great steps. I know
Thanks.
we've really enjoyed working with your company on this project. So
Thank
um,
you.
you're welcome, of course. So we're gonna move into the case study section for this product and bring on one of your partners that has used this product. So let's get started with that. For our case study segment, we are joined by Steve Beck, president of Pavilion Floors, which is a Diversify company. Diversify is the largest flooring company in North America with over 60 locations. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Laura.
Could you tell us about how you achieved your current role and the market that you serve?
Well, I guess I would start by saying that I'm a flooring lifer. This is my 42nd year in the flooring industry, and this is my 8th year at Pavilion Floors. I actually owned my own company for 25 years that specifically was in the wood floor sector. But Pavilion Floors is one of the largest commercial union flooring contractors in New England, and we service all of the New England market. We are a union company, so all of our labor is union personnel. Again, we service the entire New England market.
And so your experience is probably second to none. It sounds like, which is great to have you here to discuss this with us. How did you come across monitoring technology?
I guess what we've found is one of the main focuses of the entire company is very forward focused. And if you do not keep up with the technological advances of your industry, you'll get left behind. We have always struggled with, the industry has always struggled with site monitoring from the standpoint of site conditions. As construction speed has just exponentially increased, we're being asked to sometimes go into situations that are not conducive to the installation of a specific product. And none of us want to install a product out of spec, so we need to be able to monitor site conditions. So we were always on the search for something that would allow us to monitor site conditions without being there 24/7.
Could you describe how you're integrating monitoring technology into your business?
So with the speed of construction these days, I think finding a tool that will allow you to monitor site conditions on a 24/7 basis is critical to being able to install all products under manufacturer specification and to be able to long-term warranty the product. We have integrated site monitoring by putting on-site monitors that feeds us information 24/7. So we have real-time information of what is happening at the site. Even though you may not have control over site conditions, it allows you to notify your customer and your own teams when sites are going out of specification.
Yeah, this is the thing about the product that I think is just such a revolution, because it really breaks that traditional mold open and allows us to understand the real-time implications of the job site climate. And I think that that's so valuable. So Scott, when did Steve reach out and how are you able to support his project goals?
So Steve reached out basically when he was working on a large tower project in Boston where they were doing some luxury residential units with hardwood. And that was a great opportunity for us because we knew Steve had extensive experience in the hardwood sector. And we really wanted to hear his feedback on how the system benefited that type of installation. So we met with his team on site. We provided them training on the system. And again, that only took 10, 15 minutes to show them how simple it was to implement.
And so, Steve, what benefits did the technology bring to your job site? And how were you able to accomplish things that you had not been able to accomplish in the past?
Many times, and I've alluded to this before, that the pace of construction has gotten so fast. But many times what'll happen is that we're asked to install projects that are being put in, that the permanent HVAC systems are not in place. And that can be risky from the standpoint is that there's a lot of variability in site conditions. With site monitoring, at least you're going to know what's happening at all times. So if it comes Friday afternoon and the site will, be 65 degrees and wonderful, and then the temporary heat gets shut off the entire weekend so that by Sunday it's 35 degrees on site, you're going to get notifications from the system that tell you that the space is out of spec. That allows you to do a number of different things: track it, keep the data, show your general contractor that you're monitoring the site, and it allows a correctable situation. They may say, oh, we didn't mean to turn the heat off over the weekend. They'll get it fired right back up again. It's those type of things that it prevents or documents, I should say, because I've always said we're really not in the flooring business. We're in the risk management business. You need to be able to document all that data to prove that if there is a failure down the road, that there possibly was a situation where the site went out of spec.
Yeah, and I think that, your company is on the cutting edge of making sure that, you're keeping pace with the advancing nature of the construction industry. So how has this technology helped position your business favorably with your general contractor clients?
I think initially, they number one were impressed that we cared enough about their project to monitor the site. But I think general contractors are now embracing it themselves. They see that it has merits to knowing if there's moisture problems in the slab, if there's relative humidity concerns. There are very sensitive products in our industry. I'll take epoxy. Is very sensitive to the dew point that you put it in at. Knowing all of the site monitoring conditions, it could actually prevent you from starting a job when you shouldn't. We actually had a situation, and Scott's well aware of this, where we had monitors on a job site in Boston where we were supposed to start a large epoxy installation. And our project manager got a push notification on Sunday that it was 35 degrees on the job. We did not send our labor to that job the next morning because we knew it was not would send them and have to turn around and send them home again. So there's a money saving piece to it too, in addition to the data that I didn't send 4 union mechanics to a job to only turn around and send them home. So from there's many benefits from a cost standpoint, from the site monitoring, and getting, I think, maybe respect is the wrong word, but your GC is going to really take notice that you care about the project and that you're taking the extra steps to make sure that installation goes properly.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive in its capabilities. And I love that feature, especially of not sending people to a site prematurely, and making sure that, you're leveraging everyone's time in an effective way. Have you found that monitoring technology benefits other projects?
I think it's probably a plus for everybody. I mean, wood is very sensitive to atmospheric conditions. So even mill workers who need to monitor the site for relative humidity so that their millwork doesn't shrink or expand. There is other, technological advances in our industry that we embrace too as a company, not just monitoring, but electronic work slips, all types of things. I just have always taken the position that if you're not keeping up with the technology in our industry, then you'll be left behind. So we really try to embrace anything that's new and that makes sense for our business.
Absolutely. Do you have any specific job site examples that you'd like to share? Is there a specific project that comes to mind?
So the job I referenced prior about epoxy, that was a Parcel 12 building in Boston, where, again, the savings was generated by not sending guys to a job, union labor to a job that you're going to pay a minimum 4-hour show-up time. Another job that comes to mind where we employed the technology was out at the laborers training center. And we were monitoring relative humidity of the concrete. And we kept on telling the GC that we couldn't proceed because the relative humidity in the site was, and the concrete was too high, and ultimately resulted in needing moisture mitigation on the project. But being able to provide the data in real time and show a log over time that the moisture content in the slab was not improving over time. We had probes in place for several months, and there was no improvement to the RH, again, needing moisture mitigation to solve the problem. The last one is more of a current project. We do a lot of public work, and we actually are doing an elementary school out in Tisbury on Martha's Vineyard. Without this technology, it would mean sending one of our field superintendents on the ferry over to Martha's Vineyard, do the reading, only to come back, and spend the entire day doing a single reading of a moisture probe. Now with this technology, we can get that 24/7 from our desk. So the trip to Martha's Vineyard is once to set the probe, and then you can monitor it from there on.
Yeah, there's even some carbon that's saved in that process, I think. So that's a great point to make. I just think that it's a great thing to leverage as far as when you're trying to make sure that you streamline your processes. And it's really nice to hear your perspective and your real-time experience with this product. I thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. And a primary goal of this podcast is to build a catalog of wisdom for the industries that we serve. So I'd like to ask you both, what is one piece of industry wisdom that you would like to share with our audience in closing? Steve, I'd like to start with you.
I think for me, it would be just keeping up with technology and that keeps up with the pace of the construction industry. This type of information is, I think, benefits everyone involved in the project, from the manufacturer who makes the product, from us being the installer. And I think the entire construction community, including the general contractors and architects, need to embrace this type of technology, because it only is going to serve the end user and end product better.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. It is definitely rapidly changing, and it's really important to stay abreast of that. Scott, what say you?
I would say that building materials are definitely sensitive to a variety of conditions, climate conditions, substrate conditions, and it's critical that they are installed within the proper specifications of the manufacturer to secure warranties. And monitoring and collecting and storing the data is a great way to communicate objectively with all the key stakeholders on the project, to make sure that really the client, the owner, gets what they really are expecting.
Yeah, you can't, there's no other way to say that that is just an amazing feature of this technology. And that's why I'm so excited to have had this conversation with you both today. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Laura.
Absolutely. So this concludes the educational portion of this AIA CE podcast, and we would like to offer up a couple of questions to Scott directly about Floorcloud. So what makes you excited about the future of Floorcloud, Scott?
So, Laura, we are really excited because the brand, the name is spreading now. We've reached that point where clients are contacting us, large general contractors, the other trades we'd always hoped to get into, millwork, drywall, wall covering. They're reaching out to us. But as we expand into those other areas, we're also getting great feedback on how to modify and improve our solution for those unique trades. So we're continuing to really enhance the functionality of what we've built. And with software, that's probably the most exciting part. The traditional R&D process is way faster and more exciting, and you can really get great customer feedback implemented and executed quickly. So there's a lot of that going on, which makes it very exciting.
Yeah, the usability of the software is just phenomenal, and we're excited. We're excited for you.
Thank you.
So how does Floorcloud differ from the competitors' products?
Sure. So, when we say competitors, I'd probably open that up to be, other companies that have, I guess, instrumentation that is used on site to measure things, because there's really nothing new there. Our biggest advantage, and really kind of what we knew would be the key to our success, was really the partnership with Verizon, which allows us to basically do what no one else is really doing. And that is basically connecting sensors directly to the IoT network without the need for Wi-Fi or base stations or supplementary power sources. It is completely simple to use. It's instant on. It's what they call out-of-the-box connectivity. And it's in real time, and it's all stored permanently in the cloud. So a very different approach to other systems that are out there. Super simple to use, extremely accurate, and extremely reliable.
No, I don't think that there is anything like it on the market. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's so important to have a discussion about it today, because the things that it's able to do, especially from a safety standpoint, from a sustainability standpoint, and a workflow and budgetary standpoint, I mean, the advantages are so enormous. Are there any advantages that you'd like to highlight that we haven't featured today?
I mean, there's a lot of other functionality that we're starting to build in. We're looking at different sensors, longer life sensors, sensors with light monitoring capability, air quality monitoring, that are all things that are going to be coming out over the course of 2024. But I will say that our solution, it really is saving our clients a lot of headaches and financial issues that could potentially really hurt their bottom lines by avoiding failures or complicated situations that they have to either rework or argue over and litigate over. So there's a lot of upside for this for everybody really in the industry.
Yes, the future is bright.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. I've enjoyed talking with you today and look forward to all that you create in the future.
Well, thanks, Laura. I appreciate the time.
Thank you for listening to the Spec Shaman Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our show and leave us a review. The Spec Shaman Podcast is produced by Laura Elliott and Brad Blank. A huge thank you to our guests who made this show possible. Building product manufacturers who want to increase their specification opportunities, please visit specshaman.com or ronblank.com. Thanks all for this episode, folks. See you next time.